Welcome to the Elegance of Nae. I'm your host, Nae, and on this podcast, we'll be talking about a variety of topics with amazing stories. Let's get into it, shall we? Hey guys, before we begin the show, we just want to give a quick shout out to TC's Art Gallery. That is T as in Tom, C as in Cat, S as in Sam, Art Gallery. They do amazing social media advertisement, logo design, website design, and they even help with social media management. Check them out today at TC's Art Gallery LLC.square.site. All right, let's start the show. Welcome back to the Elegance of Nae podcast. I'm your host, Nae, and today we got somebody new in the building. We have the one and only Denzell Turner. How are you?
What up, though? I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. How are you mentally and physically today?
Mentally and physically. Physically, I feel great. Feel good. Probably like a 9. Mentally, maybe like an 8. It's just like gloomy outside, so that's messing with me. But overall, doing well.
Yeah, I could definitely feel you on the weather. I love a sunny day
Mm-hmm.
every day. So let's start from the beginning. So from when you were a kid up until now, like, of course, there's a huge difference within yourself. But how were you from elementary school to middle school?
This is a funny question. Because I always tell people they wouldn't imagine it. I mean, they might have some idea knowing me now, but yeah, I was a bad kid. I was a smart kid. I loved school, but I had a smart mouth, so that irritated a lot of people. And then I was doing a bunch of stuff I ain't had no business doing. So just being a terror for no reason during that time frame. But yeah, that's pretty much who young Denzell was. I wasn't like making I wasn't doing anything crazy, but it's just like just being bad just cuz.
Heck, that's funny. What do you remember your elementary school?
Yep, Dawson Elementary.
Oh wow. Okay,
Yep, on the
okay.
west side.
Were you very like social? Like, did you have like a lot of friends growing up in the elementary?
I did. I always found, and it's kind of like true nowadays, but back then I always found like my pocket of people. From the neighborhood or just from school, like people that I vibe with or that I enjoy being around. Like I always had my pocket of people. It wouldn't be a ton of people, but the few that I gravitated towards, like yeah, used to always hang out with them.
Oh, that's cool. That's what's up. So, how was your transition from elementary school up to middle school? Like, do you feel like you changed within yourself, or?
It was. I felt like I was a little bit more reserved when I went to middle school, so more so focused on the grades and schoolwork and less of the shenanigans.
Mhm.
But then, like when I got comfortable and I understood the setting, because my elementary went up to 6th grade, and then 7th and 8th grade was at a different school. So once I got comfortable after that first year, 7th grade, like all right, cool. Then I started to turn back up again. It's like all right, yeah. Now I'm familiar with my surroundings, so now I can
Yeah.
get back to my shenanigans a little bit. But I didn't even then I didn't get in trouble a ton. Maybe just had to go to the principal office a couple times, and got suspended for a food fight that I didn't had nothing to do with. So
Oh
other than that,
wow.
yeah, it was pretty chill.
Oh wow, that's crazy. You see, we gonna get to that another day.
Okay.
But that's crazy. So like, for one, where did you go to middle school? In middle school, was it like a continuance from the elementary? Or was it a whole different school?
It was a different school. So Cadillac Middle School and on the west side, and it's no longer exists. Like the building is abandoned now.
Oh wow.
Hmm.
I feel like that's a lot of schools nowadays, like that are just gone or they just didn't want to work on it anymore,
Hmm.
to continue with the growth and stuff. But okay, so how was your transition from middle school to high school? Like, how were you then?
Yeah, high school I feel like was a different beast because a lot of people from my middle school I went to Cass Tech, and
Mm.
people from my middle school neighborhood didn't really unfortunately make it over there. It was only maybe 3 of us that I can recall. So I had to completely start over from scratch. So
Mm.
high school transition was a little bit shaky because I only knew maybe a few people going in, and then
Mhm.
so I had to reestablish a lot of different relationships. But I got a chance to. I started playing football, or one of my friends started playing football, and then because you have the spring training before you go back to school or summer workouts, 2 a days, stuff like that. I just started doing that early, so I got a chance to meet a few people. But then, yeah, from there, really started to like build new relationships, and As far as academically, it wasn't anything like too crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to keep up with the work because, like I said, I enjoyed school, so I paid attention. Knew how to follow directions in that regard, but it was a little bit more chill because you go from being the big dog in middle school to right back being a little dog, freshman in high school. And you always hear
Mm-hmm.
stories about seniors and upperclassmen always messing with freshmen and stuff like that. I didn't really experience that, but that was definitely a very real thing. So it's kind of like, all right, you want to make sure you come in here with the right energy
Mm-hmm.
and not be on their target list, basically.
Yeah, I feel that. Do you feel like were you in any extracurricular activities when you went to high school?
Not my freshman year. No, I didn't. I didn't. Other than football, I played JV football that year. But other than
Mm-hmm.
that, no, not really.
Okay. So how did you get into more of your now we're going a little bit more into your careers. How did you get into the mindset of becoming podcasting, being more out there with your line of work?
Yeah. So keeping it in high school and then coming to current,
Mm-hmm.
my senior year, I started a podcast with a few of my friends, where we would talk about stuff that was going on with our classmates, that was going on in the school. It was very like a more ignorant Breakfast Club ish type show. So unfortunately, like a lot of the salacious podcasts that you see out here like that, it was more so along those lines. But
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend from high school who they were on, they called it internet radio
Mm-hmm.
then, but then I saw them be on the show. I was like, "Oh, that's cool. How do you set that up?" Figured out how to set it up. Got a few of my friends together. And was like, "Hey, we got to do this. I think we could be good at it." And
Mm-hmm.
then started there. So that's kind of like where my podcasting journey started,
Mm-hmm.
or initiated. And then I always wanted to be a part of like TV, radio, stuff like that in some way, shape, or form. I always thought it was cool seeing news anchors on TV. I thought like they had back then thought they had like the best jobs ever, and was
Mm-hmm.
so always infatuated with stuff like that and like media overall because I grew up ton of MTV, BET, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So always thought that that was cool, being in that communication space. And then I went to University of Michigan. I actually studied communications for my degree. So that's what my degree is in, and wanted to go in a career that was more so media focused and things like that, marketing primarily, but ended up pivoting, going the marketing route. And then I wanted to find. It wasn't until years later I picked back up on the podcasting aspect, now because I was just working within marketing and doing that for different companies. Want to have more of a creative outlet in order to talk about things I wanted to, and then so hence got a chance to start working on the Black Fridays podcast, which is my show where I talk to different Black business owners, creatives, entrepreneurs to share their stories, put more spotlight on what it is that they're doing, and who's also making an impact in their communities through business. That started in the pandemic, 2020, George Floyd, that whole situation happened. And I just thought about why don't we have more of a positive spotlight on our people who are out here putting in the work and doing the work, and how can we encourage them and empower them more so we don't have to continuously find ourselves in situations like George Floyd, not him in particular, but the situation of where it's like, we're um, continuing to like beg for equality to organizations who don't really care about us that much. How can we
Mm-hmm.
empower ourselves and the people who are out here actually doing it in the neighborhoods, in our communities, and really just want to dig deeper into that.
Mm-hmm.
Always been a business nerd, and so it me podcasting fulfilled a few of my different interests. So love my people, black people, love business, love entrepreneurship, love talking about it, love marketing, love communication. So being able to combine all of those together, that's kind of how I got down that path.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Have you now did you go to college for any of like what you do like far as now? Like if so, can you elaborate more on it?
Yeah, somewhat. So when in undergrad, I studied communications at University of Michigan. That was more so the study of like media messaging, things like that. But
Mm-hmm.
it didn't formally teach you how to be like a radio host or be a event host or anything like that. As far as that goes, that more so I've had informal training with
Mm-hmm.
that because in undergrad I was a part of an improv comedy group called Images of Identities, and being a part of that, that's what gave me the opportunity to be on stage, have like a stage presence, know how to talk and speak in front of a public group. I always participated in like different business competitions when I was in high school, somewhat in college as well. So knowing how to like pitch and talk to an audience and just like public speaking and being able to work on that. When I always tell the story, and I feel like it's insignificant to people when they hear it, but I feel like it means something to me. When I was in kindergarten, I emceed my kindergarten graduation, which they hand you a sheet of paper, you just say a
Mm-hmm.
couple of lines or whatever. But I feel like that was kind of the beginning of like knowing that I would like to be able to have that type of engagement with a crowd or an audience and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that, knowing that that was possible. So I feel like that might have been the inception of those type of things, but it's mostly been informal and learning how to do podcasting or be public speaking, stuff like that, that caters to what it is that I do now.
Wow, that sounds amazing. And I feel like that is a good story to go back on because it shows that you started somewhere and it just gave you that insight of like I can actually do this
Hmm.
in the future, and that's really dope too. And honestly, the specifics of where you going with Black Fridays, it's dope because it's like not a lot of people do pay attention to our community, and
Hmm.
especially when we're trying to make a name for ourselves, or if we try our best, we have to work 10 times harder. Not
Right.
saying others don't, but it's just like with certain different like certain situations that we go through, that's top tier too.
Hmm.
And I think that's really dope having an insight on that. So with your with Black Fridays, I've noticed that, you interview a lot of different people. Do you go to people in particular or do you just come across them by networking, or how do you usually find your audience or your guests?
Black male just finding stuff about them they don't want to get out, and then just nah, I'm just playing. It primarily started with my network. So Black Fridays, the first iteration of it was an Instagram live series, and doing
Mhm,
that on a weekly basis. On a Friday, talking to a guest about their background, their profession, what it is that they do, and that started with my network and how the whole inception of the show started because I was like, I know so many talented people, and only if they had more of a spotlight, more attention on what it is that they're doing, I can only imagine how much they would be able to accomplish. So it started that way, build tapping into my network, and then really just trying to build on top of that. And then
mhm,
also it's a networking opportunity for me selfishly, for me to challenge myself to say, hey, I like what you're doing, reach out, extend the hand, say, hey, would it be possible to connect, and go from there. And then I can learn about their stories, we can learn about each other, the things that we have to offer, how we might be able to partner or help each other. And so that's how I end up like connecting with the different guests. It's really like me just seeing like, hey, I see what you're doing, I like it. I appreciate it. It's dope. Would you be interested in sharing your story? And then really just going from there and like growing the network from there. But a good portion of the people were already in my network, or maybe like a couple of degrees of separation.
nice. That sounds amazing. So have you through those from when you first started up until now, have you seen a lot of growth within yourself? If so, like what in what way?
Yeah, big time. Some of the interviews I go back and listen to, like my first couple of episodes, it's like it's not anywhere near kind of like where I am now, where I can listen to some episodes or I can do a recording, and then it's like night and day as far as like my line of questioning, how I'm speaking, how I'm presenting, um, being conscious about like stuttering and stuff like that, or not really knowing what I'm gonna say. So I definitely see growth in terms of that. Also, the caliber of guests, not to by any means shade anybody who's been on the show before, because everybody's been dope, honestly. But it's just like the it's more of me thinking about people who I have no relation to at
Mhm.
all and being able to have valuable conversations with them. That's what I think about in terms of like the quality of guests and being able to have those type of conversations with people like I don't know from a can of paint. So
Mm.
that's the type of growth that I think about.
Okay. Have you seen a difference between the relations? Like, do you feel like it's a whole different feeling of a conversation with the people that you do know or grew up on, or have had a longer relations with versus people that you just met around the corner a few minutes ago? Do you feel like that's a different change? Do you change your way of presenting, or do you feel like it's usually the same within yourself?
I think it's usually the same for me because even the people that I do know, the conversations that we have, I challenge myself to try to understand more about what I don't know about them, and
Mm-hmm.
then talking to people about whatever their zone of genius is and like their
Mm-hmm.
particular thing and what it is their craft is and they're passionate about.
Yeah.
It unlocks so many different layers about who it is that they are. So like I'm getting married soon, so people who are in my
Nice.
wedding have been on previous guests, and talking to them about their professions and stuff that they do,
Mm-hmm.
I learned more about them. So it's just really about how can I tap into what it is that I don't know, that my natural curiosity, using that to my advantage so that I can be able to pick out those things. Like even if it's a guest that I have, a guest that I have that I don't know, but
Mm-hmm.
is I guess more well known or may have more credibility, being able to pick at the things like, okay, well, what don't we know about you? And
Mm-hmm.
being able to unlock like some of those things. So really just trying to use that natural curiosity across the board with whoever I'm talking to.
Yeah, that's dope. Do you feel like well, first, that's really cool. That's goals right there. That's what's up. Do you have any goals that you try to meet with every episode?
Selfishly, I try to keep every episode as clean as I can from a not from like a cursing or salacious standpoint, but like
Mm-hmm.
editing. So like my
Mm-hmm.
line of question and stuff like that, because I don't want to be sitting there like chopping up a million different things. And
Yeah.
so I try to keep it as like, okay, make sure your questions are structured a certain way so it can flow as smoothly as possible,
Mm-hmm.
and try to get as much out of the questions that I might be asking to my guests if I got a follow up or anything like that. So I don't have
Mm-hmm.
to like go in and be like, okay, well this part was terrible this first 20 minutes. So now let me merge it and do something. I don't mind editing, but I don't want to nitpick
Do
at edit like that. I
yeah.
want it to be as natural as possible. So that's probably the main thing that, as far as goals that I have, make sure that it looks as clean as possible, capture all my visuals and my audio. That's one of my fears. It happened to me a couple
Mm-hmm.
times where I didn't record everything, so I got an episode out now, and me and some of the homies had an amazing conversation. And you can't for the I usually do different angles, you can't see me for majority of the video because my phone ran out of space.
Oh
So
wow.
that was so you
Yeah.
can it's just focused on them. Thank God that it worked out that way where I still had that part of the
Mm-hmm.
video element, and just really try to keep the recording process as clean as possible. But stuff happens, but really just try to at the end of the day, getting the content. That's all that matter. I had one interview where I forgot my tripod. There was no tripod available in the space that I was at. I
Mm.
literally had to turn a cup into a tripod, and
Yeah.
I had to make it
Gotta do what
happen.
you gotta
Yeah,
do.
I
I'm
had to make it
telling
happen, and the interview turned
you.
out perfectly fine.
Yeah, because I kid you not, that's something I had to do when I tried to do my first ever video for the podcast. I literally turned a table stand with the box on top of another box to hold my
Yep,
camera in the angle because I didn't have an additional tripod.
yep.
You just got to be creative when you want that content. You want
Mm-hmm.
that creativity.
Got to
You
be ready.
wanna. You got to be ready for anything. And
Mm-hmm.
nowadays, some people don't even be thinking like that. Some
Nope.
people don't be thinking quickly off the spot. Like, no, I want this content
Mm-hmm.
today. Like,
Right.
what we doing?
Right.
And I feel like with the videos, it's like I feel you on that because I'm very particular with angles, make sure we got some good conversations going. But if anything, if all this fails, of course we got the audio as the
Mm-hmm.
main thing as the backup.
Mm-hmm.
So that's yeah, it's a lot that people don't understand. For some that aren't podcasters, that it's
Mm-hmm.
a lot that goes into it
Yep.
with trying to get content, whether that's recording,
Mm-hmm.
the angles, the location, make sure your background noise ain't
And
crazy.
that's all of that is before you got to go in and edit it.
Yes,
So it's
all
a
of it.
process. Yeah.
And then you got to make sure your guest is there on time, and
Yeah.
then make sure your mics is ready if you have
Mm-hmm.
mics or if you're using mics.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just like it's so much that comes into the factor in making sure everything is pinpoint. That's why I'm like, look,
Mm-hmm.
if the video ain't working, we doing audio. We just gonna
Yep.
take the picture. We gonna tell people what it is. We
Mm-hmm.
gonna either make it work what it is, or you
Yep.
just gotta work with what you have. And
I'm gonna say it
yeah.
right here. If you want a crash course in creative business, creative arts, or just business in general, start a podcast and try to make money from it.
Mhm.
That's the quickest way to get a crash course in all that stuff. You have to learn about audio. You got to learn about visual. You got to learn about graphic design. You got to learn about social media. You got to
Mhm.
learn about podcasting platforms, YouTube, people management, because like you said, your guests and all that type of
Yes.
stuff, and communications. You got to send out messages to even like solicit people to come on. If
Hmm.
you want to crash course and all of that, and you think you got a good idea, start a podcast.
Yeah, it definitely teaches you so many different levels. It definitely builds you up if you're trying to be a new entrepreneur, because it's like literally your one man band, and
Yep.
unless you have a team of people
Mm-hmm.
that are great in these fields that has all these issues with listing, that's the only way that like you gonna learn a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's rather working with people or not. Even if you're doing solo shows, you still
Mm-hmm.
got to make sure your mics is good, your recording is good, excuse me, and then other things too. So it's a lot that comes into the factor
Mm-hmm.
of this industry in the career field in itself.
Yep.
Now, I've been wanting to ask, what show or episode I should say that just blew you away that you wasn't even expecting it to be like so crazy, like one that you have out now.
Yeah, I probably have a few like that where I'm just like in the middle of the conversation or after the fact, I'm like, man, this was dope. Like this is just a dope conversation, a dope vibe. The one that stick out to me the most is one of my more recent interviews with Charity Ward, who is a performing artist,
Mhm.
multifaceted artist in the city of Detroit. And I didn't know her from I didn't I know known of her. I know people that
Mhm.
know her. We have never interacted or had a conversation, and I literally had no idea how that was going to go. And we had ended up having an amazing conversation, and it just like felt like we were just chopping it up, and we were just getting a chance to we were just catching up,
Mhm.
and so many gems from her end really came out of that conversation, just talking about her journey and being transparent and where she was and where she was trying to go and what she was trying to do in the music
Mhm.
industry, just trying to create overall. A lot of things that I didn't know, only knew a little bit, and I know people probably knew more who are really diehard fans or know of her. But I
Mhm.
think that she was able to share some things that people didn't necessarily know, and that's why I'm like, okay, that conversation was super dope to look back and listen on. And that's my most watched YouTube video right now. So
Wow.
yeah, that was super dope.
That's good. And then word of the mouth is crazy too.
Hmm.
That's why we always try to, get good word of the mouth and make sure that the content that we're trying to provide or the messages that we're trying to have go across is being seen the way we want it to be seen.
Hmm.
Even though people take things differently, everybody take things differently. So that's just amazing. What's the other one that you stated?
The other one is with somebody else who I've actually known this person for a while, Gail Perry Mason, who is a huge staple in the city of Detroit, especially from the financial standpoint, nonprofit as well.
Mm.
She works with students each summer, takes them to pretty much like money camp for a week,
Oh
and I believe
wow.
it's the Money Matters Camp is the name of it. And I've known her for years, went to college with her son and interacted with her over the years, but never had a chance to talk to her about what it is that she does professionally and like what is her zone of genius. And so
Hmm.
that was my whole goal for that conversation, to really identify what what do you do, like what makes you go, what's your purpose, what's your motivation, and keeps you going to do the things that you do. And they were super dope to just kind of hear a lot of things that came out of that, and just really hearing somebody like talk about their expertise and like break it down and make
Mm.
it practical. I think that was the biggest thing
Mm.
for me, was her making it practical and not just like pie in the sky investing and stuff like that. She like, no, you look, you spend $10 on a latte, you go to Starbucks every other day. Take that $10 for 1 week or a day, put that in the stock market. Now you got Starbucks stock, let it grow, see what happens. Like boom, boom, boom. Like really just keeping it that practical. So that was also a very dope conversation that I
Mhm.
had.
Wow. That sounds amazing. And that's actually a really good piece of knowledge that a lot of kids need to know, or just people in general. Because we always say like, I wish I would have learned that in high school. I wish I would have learned specific things
Hmm.
that we really do need to know by the time adulthood hits us.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So how I meant to ask as well, like how was the transition for high school going into adulthood for you?
Oh man. Uh High school went into adulthood. It definitely was I feel like it was like a crash course, because that started in college
Mm.
and me just having to be more independent and on my own. I wasn't the best in terms of managing my time because I'm in college and I'm like, oh man, I'm chilling. Like I kind of figured out the stuff that I liked early on, the
Mhm.
organizations I wanted to be in, have my friends and stuff like that. So I got comfortable and then just like, oh man, I'm just up here chilling. And then when them grades wasn't looking as good, and for the first time in my life, I'm below a 3.0. Now I'm like, oh, this is real life. So some things got to change for sure. So um yeah, I had to it wasn't the easiest, but through experience, I had to learn how to be more responsible with my time, with my energy, things that I do, be more serious about what it was that I was looking to do post college because I was always one for I kind of had a vision of where I wanted to go and what it is that I wanted to do, but just living that adult style life because you're still fairly young in college, but living
Mhm.
that adult style life at that point in time, like really like hit me. Like you don't have because I went to Michigan, so I'm in Ann Arbor. I'm with a lot of rich kids and being in class with people who have way more stuff than me. And it's like you ain't got mommy and daddy money to fall back on if things don't work out. So you really got to
Mhm.
figure out like what is
What you
life gonna
trying to
look
do?
like after you
Mhm.
leave here, and you really gotta grind and make it happen. So I've always been kind of responsible in that regard. So just being able to really like notice this not a game and what you do here is going to impact what you do when you get out of here and how you live your life and like your trajectory. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, I gotta be more responsible, get around more like-minded people. So just
Mhm.
always put my best foot forward to be at the right events, talk to the right people, network. Internships, all that type of stuff. So that's kind of like what adulthood back then looked like for me leaving high school because high school was a bubble. Like it was a nice
Mhm.
bubble, and because of the high school I went to, majority black. And then
Mhm.
you get dropped off in Ann Arbor, Michigan, which ain't majority black, not majority minority either. So it's definitely more um, of a microcosm of the world, or more like what the world kind of looks like. So I think that was also something big that I had to endure, navigating those spaces where you're the only one or you're one of few,
Mhm.
and having to be comfortable and confident in those spaces.
I feel that, especially when you mainly from Detroit and you doing a big move to Ann Arbor, because
Hmm.
Ann Arbor is a nice place. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying? Ann Arbor is beautiful, but it's like moving different sceneries,
Right.
and then you gotta learn people and get to know people and know that you're in the right surroundings of
Hmm.
people. So that's dope. I think that a lot of people don't understand how quick, and everybody has different experiences too. When adulthood hits you, and some people got to become an adult before you even get out of high school. Some
Hmm.
people can't even get out of high school yet until you get into adulthood. Some people, like I had a previous friend that was on that had to beat a big brother before he even got out of high school, and he
Hmm.
had to turn into an adult real quick, make sure his brothers and sisters are fed, make sure he was fed, make sure they had food for the next day, went to school on time. So he turned into like a whole parent aspect, you know what I'm saying? So uh and that's, everybody deals with adults and different. I feel like
Hmm.
that's without a doubt, and that's true. A lot of people don't understand that you can't fall back on your parents sometimes when you're at
Hmm.
a struggle. You got to figure it out.
Right.
It's like your parents like, hey, look, we taught you what we doing? Like, what are
Hmm.
you doing? Did you listen to anything we taught you out of your 18 years of life or 19 years of life?
Right.
Like, what we doing? Like, how we moving?
Hmm.
So I think that's really dope. I feel like everybody learned it clearly. You're doing great, and you did a great job to be here from all the adulting and stuff like that. So I think that's amazing. Um, yeah, yeah, I think that's really dope. That's really dope. Hey guys, it's shout out break time. We want to give our love and support to Mr. Denzell here with his podcast and business called Black Fridays. Black Fridays is a celebration of Black owned businesses, professionals, and creatives who thrive in their communities. Join Denzell Turner as he interviews guests about their unique career and business journeys while also discussing important topics in the Black businesses. And make sure to check all of that down in the bio and description, and check it out on his website at blackfridayspod.com. All right, back to the show. So kind of going into like our next segment, in the beginning, you pulled out of our bowl and you pulled out mentorship.
Mhm.
So growing up from a young age up until now, like middle school to high school, did you have like any mentors that helped you, guide you, or um make sure that you stayed afloat?
Yeah, big time, and that came from me. In the earliest form, it probably came from me from a few teachers because I was in the business curriculum at Cass, and so
Mm,
a few of those teachers definitely had looked out, Miss Mitchell, Miss Stevenson, Miss Schwartzoff, and they always brought like different opportunities to us.
mhm,
And I never forget because it's probably like one of the things that changed my life. Honestly, she had a guy come in by name of David Gamlin, and he ended up talking to us about the what was it, Camp Enterprise,
mm,
I believe at that time. And so Camp Enterprise was a weekend business camp where you would go up there, high school students, I believe sophomores and juniors or something like that, get a chance to go up to either Michigan State or University of Michigan at the time and be able to compete in a business pitch competition.
oh,
And you work
wow.
with other students from other high schools, and y'all had to get together. They threw you in a group, and y'all had to figure it out. And y'all got a mentor to help y'all with
Mhm,
the process. So went to Camp Enterprise, absolutely loved it, fell in love with it, and that's how I got introduced to Mr. Gamlin. And me and him have been tight. That's been my mentor ever since then, and that was probably like 2007.
mhm.
So, and now I'm an old man. So that's been a very long time. So that was the first introduction of like what a mentor look like to me. And know I got a chance to know him then in Camp Enterprise. That was only for a weekend, but then
Mhm.
that turned into an opportunity for me to go into the Midnight Golf program and apply and get accepted into
Oh,
that, where
wow.
we got to further establish a relationship. And then through Midnight Golf, got a chance to be mentored by the founder, Renee Fluker, who
Mhm.
is also a very close mentor, like a second mom to me, and also just so many other people who were mentors at the time and throughout the years in organization. And seeing people who really care about you and are invested in your future at that young age, for me, I didn't have the best um, mentors or idea of what a mentor or idol, so to speak, in my immediate surrounding,
Mhm.
not even really in my family. So being able to have that type of support and investment from people, like it meant the world to me, which is why they're a huge part of my life even today. Like I'm an adult and I'll still call them about different things and, connect with
Yeah.
them, go to lunch and things like that. And just
Wow.
like those type of relationships are invaluable. And so that's how I got a chance to establish those type of relationships, at least in high school. That's how it started.
Yeah, that's dope. Without a doubt, I feel like that's when you know somebody impact you, they would know that because they sense the engagement, they sense that the things that they're feeding into you is really strongly acknowledged with you. I feel like that's really amazing. And shout out to teachers for
Hmm.
that are very serious about their students' careers and really pushing forward and making sure they get the biggest lesson out of whatever they're pursuing. I think that's really amazing. And I was going to ask, did you have any mentors that continue from high school to your adulthood, or did you have different changing of mentorship? But as you said, you had a few of the same ones. Did you have any in your adulthood when you?
Yeah, so they stuck with me for life, and they yeah, whether they like it or not, they with me for for the long haul.
Say,
So
I'm your child now.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, they definitely stuck with me. And as far as mentors going into adulthood, so ironically enough, stemming from my relationship with my mentor in Midnight Golf, he came to me and said, "Hey, I know this opportunity landed in my lap.
Hmm.
People looking for a marketing intern. I know you're looking for work or whatever. Would you be interested?" And so I'm like, yeah, of course. And then I got a chance to apply there, start working for a company at the time. It was R.O. Polk and Company. Now
Hmm.
they're S&P Global. And the vice president of diversity and inclusion, his
Hmm.
name is Mark Bland. And he's been a huge help to me and mentor like ever since I stepped foot at that company. And that was 2013. And
Mm.
so he's been a big part of my life ever since then. And just somebody who looks like me from the like almost damn near the same neighborhood as me as well, maybe like a few blocks over,
Mhm.
and just to kind of see the things that he's accomplished, the confidence he instilled in me, and the type of things that I'm able to do and could potentially accomplish, and just seeing like I know you have potential, and I want to give you a chance, and really just caring enough to do that was pretty much all that I needed at that point in time, because a lot of people will probably just look at me, especially like different Fortune 500 companies or whatever, like corporate America, they'll look at me and like, look past me pretty much, not even look at me. But, he's seen the potential in me, and that was huge. And, that's been my guy ever since then. So that was like the first iteration of what that looked like to me from an adulthood standpoint. And then other people I had like what I were willing to invest in me when I went to University of Miami for my graduate degree, and I'm almost 30, and like having an opportunity to find new mentors. Miss Brown, she had looked out for me when I was down there, and I'm trying to think if there's anybody I might be missing out that I truly look at and identify as a mentor, or like from an adult standpoint. I have some folks that I work with now in the tech industry that have definitely looked out and who are older than me, but show me a lot of love and see potential in me and want to invest in me. So yeah, just having those relationships, they definitely mean a lot, especially for me. And just knowing you can relate to certain people, they have walked down the path that you are looking to go down, and
Mhm.
they're willing to give back, reach back, give you the knowledge in the game that they have, and that just means the world to me, because how do we progress if you don't have folks like that?
Yeah, that's very true. Have you ever been a mentorship to somebody younger than you, like within your
Absolutely,
business?
yeah, yeah, and because of my experience in the Midnight Golf program and with the mentors that I have, I've always had a spirit to want to invest in the next generation,
Mm.
because I always think back then it was more so like, these are the future leaders of the spaces that we're in now. So I want to get on their good side. So let me make sure that I look out for them. And I still feel that way to a certain extent, but it's
Mhm.
really the more so from the standpoint of providing opportunities now. So I've been a mentor for the Midnight Golf program when I became of a certain age. So you have to, if you're an alumni, you have to wait a certain period of time before you get more established in your career before you can mentor. So I
Mhm.
got a chance to fulfill that, and that was bringing life full circle for me, and being able to support students from that end, and knowing where I was, and what that looked like. So I'm always grateful for that, and have some phenomenal students from that standpoint. When I was working in automotive at the company that I had mentioned, starting a mentorship program there, and
Mhm.
working with some dope students from Cody High School for a few years, maybe like 3 or 4 years that we had did that, Cody and Loyola, and being able to mentor young ladies, young men, and understand, give them the exposure to corporate America. What does it look like? Get them exposure to the automotive industry. Let them know there's potential, there's opportunities here, depending on where you want to go, what's your
Mhm.
career, and what you want to do in the future, and being able to connect and relate with them. I think that was dope. And then also, I have a mentorship program now that's being ran out of Jalen Rose Leadership Academy called the Collab. And so we
Nice.
initially started doing college scholarships for students on an annual basis, but we initiated our fellowship program in order to have more of a lasting relationship with these students. So we've been doing that. This is our third year doing that with the, I want to call them kids, with our young adults,
Mhm.
and that has also meant a lot, because I get a chance to see them on a more consistent basis, and then being able to just teach them the things that I learned, and that I know we all have, me and my co-founders and board members have different areas of expertise, instilling that into them, giving them options of what you could potentially do in the future from a career standpoint, and then also just giving them tools that you're going to be able to use for the rest of your life, like learning
Mhm.
about the basics about business, financial literacy, creative skills that's going to help you in a pinch, if you, even if you're not a creative or a marketer, but you know how to do certain things that's going to help you stand above others. So being able to provide that means a world of difference to me, but really, just like I said initially, being able to invest in them so that
Mhm.
we can keep this thing moving and progressing, and we provide opportunities to them, and so that they can in turn go ahead and do that for somebody else.
That's amazing. I feel like that's really dope to hear that, because a lot of people don't understand how strong a mentor can be towards somebody that may not either have um, parents that are welcoming into wherever they're trying to be in, giving them that the tools that probably a parent can't provide. Not saying parents, for one, parents are always our first mentors, just
Mm-hmm.
about, especially the ones that are genuinely invested into us. So just being able to be a mentor and a source for someone, even if they don't have parents or if they do, that's really cool too. Now, being a mentor over time, have your students or have any of the young adults or people that you mentor bring any lessons upon you that were new? Like, what were things that they taught you?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. If anything, they definitely our current students. They keep me young. Like they keep me abreast of all the crazy stuff that's going on out here and just interested in general. So like let me know what's going on in their world and then how can we make stuff more applicable? Because like I'm double their age, probably like at this point. So it's like, how do how do I make the things that I know and understand and went through applicable to what it is that they do?
Mm.
And so definitely keep me abreast of what's going on out here. Also, a lot of them are super talented and smart, and they like everybody else. They have their own zone of genius where they can teach me about. Oh no, this is how like I want to be a writer. Like, well, this is the writing process that you have to go through when you're interested in writing, or well, I'm interested in engineering, electrical engineering, and this is what this industry looks like, and or I want to be a artist, and like this is what I've learned thus far from different camps and things that I've been in. So really, just taking the time to really listen to them, what they're interested in, what makes them tick at this age, and then really trying to figure out how can I help them apply what they want to do, make it applicable in the future and actionable, and really provide them try to figure out what's the different ways I can help them in that journey and
Mhm.
at least present it to them, and then so they can be like, hey, I like this, let me explore this some more, or nah, I ain't feeling that, let me go a different route. So that's kind of the things that I learned from them, to be flexible, have an open mind, and then the different nuances of the stuff that they really like, I get to learn about as well.
I feel that. That's amazing because I feel like, and to get just being a mentor myself, being able to help somebody in a field that they're not aware of, or just give them more knowledge about the field that they're not aware of, or they are aware of, and then getting feedback from them. Also, it just like a helping mechanism. Like we helping each other grow
Mhm,
within different aspects because we don't realize that, wow, my student even taught me. I ain't
mhm,
even know. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's really dope. And I think that's really cool to be giving your time invested because our time is precious. You know what I'm saying? We don't know when our time is time, whatever, our time is being borrowed. So being able to invest our time into really what we are proud of, what we acknowledge, what we see as a true growth mechanism is really dope, and very vibrant in certain different ways. And I think that's really cool
mhm.
for sure. So in the beginning, you also chose a number between 1 through 3, and you chose 1 through 10. Excuse me, 1 through 10, and you chose number 3. See, there we go. And number 3 is, what is your goals for your life right now and within your business?
Goals for life. So I try to think about life, at least for me, in a maybe like three or four different buckets. So it's career, it's family slash relationships, financial, and like physical health.
Mhm.
So as far as those buckets, with life and relationship. Like I said, I'm getting married soon, so really just thank you, establishing a solid foundation with my soon to be wife, and then making sure the core values of what we see life as, that we are truly working towards those things and being able to work strong together as a unit. That's extremely important to me. And then also, like just from the family and friends standpoint, making sure that I'm intentional about the time that I spend and conversations and things like that with them, because those things is I obviously important. So that's kind of like what the core is for me there. Career, just being able to be in a space where I'm able to provide value in the space that I'm in, be creative in the space that I'm in, and then also challenge myself to be more of a leader, to be more of a well-rounded business person, and just establishing different aspects of business I'm not too familiar with. So that's kind of where I'm at there. As far as physical, continue to lose weight, just keep myself healthy, stay active, drink my water, all that good stuff. And then financial, being able to continue to build on different multiple avenues of um, uh,
Well,
streams of income. Yeah,
mm,
so yeah, try to do my best to establish wealth in legal ways. So yeah, that's the that's how I bucket those. And then I forgot the other part of the question. It was
how are you? What's your new goals for your business?
oh,
What are
what's
you
my new
looking
goal
to
for my
do?
business? Yes. So as far as the Black Fridays podcast, looking to establish sponsorships. So if you listen to this and you got a dope business and you're interested in uh, being able to get that in front of an audience that fits the people that you're going after or targeting, or in a newer, unique audience, definitely tap in with me. So looking to continue to find ways to monetize that. Looking to figure out how I can improve the quality of my production, whether it's video, audio, the scenery, lighting, whatever it is. Just being able to continue to get a little bit better with that each and every time I record an episode, and then also trying to figure out how can I like streamline my processes, because like we talked about, it's a lot to that goes into it, and so how do I be able to make that as simple as I can for myself, like where it's almost anything I can automate it, or anything I can um what do you call it? Anything that I can possibly utilize somebody else for, how do I go about that? So those are probably the biggest things that I see for my business. I'm putting it out there now because I got to hold myself accountable to do it. Is merchandise. So getting some
Yeah.
merchandise. I've always wanted to do merch and do like sell physical products in some way, shape, or form. And what better way than to do it or experiment with it than the podcast? So
Yeah.
that's some of my big goals for my business.
That's amazing.
Oh, and bigger, like can challenge myself to get bigger, different people. Or yeah, challenge myself to talk to more people that I don't know or have an established relationship with through
Hmm.
the platform.
So kind of like going more abroad with it, in a sense.
Right.
Like stretching and expanding yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you have any specific fields or just people in general?
More so people in general, not necessarily. If anything, feels I'm a huge sports fan, so definitely talking to somebody in the sports realm, getting that established. Let's see. I had a dope fashion interview, so I would like to do another one with a male fashion creative who in the city of Detroit I would love to be able to connect with soon. I'm trying to see if there's any other industries that I haven't necessarily. Oh, political, not political figures, but public servant. So police officer, firefighter,
Hmm.
EMS, like something like that, something along those lines. A medical doctor, a lawyer. So yeah, if you fit any of those descriptions, definitely hit me up. And if you're doing quality business too, that's a prerequisite to come on Black Fridays. Don't be out here just finessing people. You got to actually be doing good business and treating people right.
Right.
Yeah,
Do things right. Do
right.
diligence. I feel that. That's amazing. I hope, of course, after this episode, I'll really hope that a lot of people tap in and tune in, and we'll definitely have your information in the description and make sure to shout you out,
Mhm.
and make sure that that's being invested for real. Do you have any advice to give on people that are starting out, becoming podcasters or becoming an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I would say as far as both podcasts and entrepreneurship, one of the best business books that I read, right currently, my favorite business book is The $100 Startup. And it's a bunch of different case studies of people who were able to start up their businesses for little to no cost. And I believe most, if not all of them, were like less than $100. So really just being able to challenge yourself to keep it lean, keep it light. You don't have to spend a ton of money, depending on what you're trying to do and what industry you're going into, in order to get it going and get it started. And so I always tell people, as cheap as you can do it, definitely do it. Use your iPhone. You're already paying for it. If you do like I do, you're already paying for the phone or it's paid off, whatever it is, you got in your possession, use that for your photos and your videos. You can get you some microphones that might not necessarily cost as much if you want to make audio type content. As far as a logo and stuff like that, you can make it yourself on Canva, at least to start, or you can for free, or you can go to Fiverr and spend a couple bucks. But really, just keep your overhead costs as low as possible until you can prove your concept of what it is that you're trying to do.
Mhm.
As far as podcasts, it's probably gonna cost you. It might cost you a little bit of something, but you can literally do a podcast for free from your phone.
Mhm.
Upload all that stuff, record everything. You don't have to spend a dime. Everything you need is on and in that phone. So yeah, just keep your cost and your overhead as low as possible when you're starting out, and then challenge yourself to grow with the business and grow with the skills and stuff like that versus dumping a ton of money off rip, because no matter what, it's going to take you time to make money, and
Mhm.
you need time to grow and learn more about what it is that you're doing to get better in your business. So there's no point in you spending a ton of money up front if you don't have to.
Yeah, I feel you on that. That's why I was like, and also being lenient to when you do have money invested. Like
Mhm.
if you're having people charge you or pay you for your services, sometimes being a little lenient for your services. Now I understand if you've been in the field for some time, but still be a little lenient because we all
Mhm.
human. We all trying to make money out here. We're all trying to grow. We're all trying to put in the effort into whatever we're doing, so or pursuing. So I think that's really dope. Do you feel like in the future that you will have a a place of business or people can physically come to your like a building? Do you feel like you will have one or a studio that people can come to?
I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, that is the big goal. That's the overall goal, to be able to have a creative space, possibly like business incubator hub is really what I would be aiming to do. My goal, I think, overall, from a business standpoint, and possibly the podcast as well, but to be able to help create more sustainable black businesses, because it's already a challenge being a small business owner as it is, or doing business as a solopreneur, entrepreneur, whatever you want to call it. But being able to help our people be more sustainable in that space, because we already plan from behind the eight ball in terms of resources, in terms of information, things like that. But how can we accelerate more opportunities for us, more grant funding, more um, allocation of businesses and spaces and things like that, and skills? How can we help accelerate that and build that up so that we can be more sustainable overall as a community? And those mom and pop shops don't always have to be looking over their shoulder like, I don't know how we're gonna pay this bill this month, but we just gonna keep
Yeah.
rolling. So like that's yes. So would love to be able to have a space to do that, operate that mission out of.
I feel that. And I can actually see that for yourself. That's what made me ask, like, with all the details of so far of you saying about your business in itself, you helping black businesses. I
Hmm.
was like, that would be really dope if you had a building or at
Hmm.
least a studio that we can walk in and just get different lessons, or you got, different, content places, created, things of that nature. I can really
Hmm.
see that going far for yourself.
Thank you.
Now, before we close, do you have anything to say, like for your closing statement? Do you have anything that a new project that you're working on that's coming out that you want people to tune into or be a part of?
Closing statement: it takes money to make money. I can't let it get away from me. No, I'm just playing.
Hey, you spitting though. You spitting.
Shout out to Stretch Money, wherever you at in the world. Um, as far as new projects that I'm working on, I got some new ideas that I would love to be able to try out with the podcast and
Mhm,
just content. So really looking forward to getting that out there, actually being a part of and having more discussions with people like yourself, and
mhm,
joining their platforms, and really just being able to invest in their spaces and other people's content, because I definitely believe in the things that they do. Like you are, from the conversation we had, the stuff I seen you do, stuff I seen you be a part of, very talented, and I know that you got a bright future in whatever it is that you looking to go into and dig deeper into. So
thank
of
you.
course, wherever I can be able to help in
Mhm,
that regard, people like yourself, anybody else who may have podcasting platform, being able to join there, and it's fun having these conversations on the other side too versus being an interviewer. So I
mhm,
definitely want to be able to do more of that, and then also creating content for other people, and still figuring out what does that look like from a services standpoint. But I think I have an idea and work with a couple of people so far, so really want to be able to get into that space. I think it's user generated content, UGC, or whatever they call it, UGI, something like that.
mhm.
So I want to dig into that space and see what that's about. So yeah, that's kind of like some of the things that I'm looking forward to working on.
Okay, that sounds amazing. And like I said before, like we'll definitely have all your information in the bio. Make sure people shout you out on your social media platforms, your website, 'cause you have a lot. You have a lot on your database on your platforms. And I love that you shout out other Black businesses too, and including their podcast and everything. So I think that's amazing and beautiful. We got to help one another out, especially growing, because we all want to see each other grow and not tear each other down. I'd rather see that than, than tearing us down and then making a fool out of ourselves. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's really beautiful and dope. Is there going to be a part 2?
I don't see why not.
Okay. Well, look and stay tuned for that, guys. Part 2 will be on our lovely Patreon, and become a subscriber. So make sure to get in tuned with that part 2. And we'll dig a little deeper on certain things that we said today. And we'll see you guys soon. See ya.
Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Elegance of Nae podcast. I'm your host, Nae, and make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and also follow us at the Elegance of Nae podcast. Until next time, see ya.